Hello, 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 and welcome to yet another episode of the Conversation Capital. You're hanging out with myself, Ursula Mariani, and I have a very special guest, a repeat guest, the only, the one, the only. Hi, Asantwa Boatema Abena Ofori-Amanfo. How are you doing, girl?
Simply known as Asbo.
As he as.
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I love saying your name because I just know that I feel like after you, I'm probably the only one that can do that. Ne?
Well, let's just exclude my family from that then. What's
Yeah. Maybe your parents, but I feel like of the friends, I'm the only one.
No, Shane, and
Thank
you do own that category. There's no one else. There's no one. There literally is no one else.
So you guys was actually one of my closest friends. I went to an event with her yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, we know you from Ursula's Instagram."
Oh my gosh, that's happening. That's happening.
So, we also have Give. How could I forget about you? Hi,
Hello,
Give.
everybody.
How you doing?
The voice of reason for today.
Yes, the voice of reason for today is given Masilela. I did that crush thing on Instagram.
Yeah.
To speak to your crush, but seeing that Given is married, can you please have his brother?
At least they respect his marriage.
Yes,
Yes.
They said we know.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Marriages that are
base.
respected by the people in the marriage are respected by other people.
Wow.
True.
You get
Very
what I'm
true.
saying?
Yes,
If people are
yes.
disrespecting your marriage, someone in the marriage
It's like a
is
clean
making
house.
it. Yes.
It's like when you go to even like a workplace, when you go to a workplace where you can just see people are just not.
Yes.
Pulling their weight.
Yeah, you also just leave.
Then you move to that level as well. I think that also goes with self-respect. If you're like, no, I hear this, but this is not okay with me.
yes.
Yeah.
No one's going to treat you lower than you treat yourself. Well, they will try, but then they don't make the cuts.
You know? Hey. Anyway, that's not today's
No,
topic
it's
because I was about to go on, then I realized.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
that's not today's topic.
pull it back.
So today's topic, it's based off a quote. Who says that? It's I love
idea.
the quote, but I've forgotten who says it. Ugh, it's like on the tip of my tongue because it's off a book.
You'll
But
write it on later.
Yeah, we'll write it on later. But the quote says, "Too foreign for here, too foreign for there, never enough for both." And I'm sure people that are in the comment section now, and it's something that's always resonated with me, and I actually think it's probably one of the many reasons that you and I clicked so easily.
Yeah.
The experience of being half, with me, half South African, half another nationality in Africa, and with you being South African, but of Ghanaian descent, and your parents are Ghanaian, but you born and brought up here. And definitely, especially in SA, there's a lot of contention
Yes.
with foreign nationals that
right.
come from other
Yes.
African countries.
Yes.
And then there are many layers to it. There are many layers to it. There's the Model C versus being a local kid speaking the local language, this and that. There's so many layers to it, but we're going to delve through all of them. And I know that it's a difficult topic to speak on because it's actually been like looming over my head for a while. And I remember somebody that I engage with a lot on it, also same situation as you, but not Ghanaian, with Malawian, Malawian parents in SA, Malawian descent, and they've even got a South African name because they were born and brought up here.
Wow.
So, and then people, they can speak the local language, and but we talk about often how it's still quite a difficult process experiencing, because the moment you speak Sotho, people want to relate to you.
Yes.
But
You might lack that.
Yes.
Those relational
or even
experiences.
hate, and then I asked her to come on because we talk about it so often, and then she said it's just too sensitive. I would cry.
Yeah, I get that.
Right? And then that's when I said, this is really going to be this. So when I asked you and you said, yes, I can talk about that, I was like, Hugh, because it really is something that it's such a difficult thing to talk about. I explained off air one of the things that I experienced recently, not even like I'm talking a few days ago. I'm at the garage. I wouldn't say which garage, doesn't matter. And I'm having petrol poured, and this guy says to me, ke ba o ba bua puo sa bona, and hona jwale ke ba thusa ka shift mara ba busy ka puo ya bona. Converted or interpreted to there they are talking in that language, and not really, he said their language, and at this point I've already heard that it's Chichewa.
Yes.
And I'm half Malawian.
Yes.
And I can speak Chichewa.
So like those are my people.
So no, I don't. I say, what language? And he now gets in. they always do this, and I'm trying to help them out, and it's such a rude thing. They actually just rude people. I don't know how they're raised. Their culture's so whatever. Da, 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 da. I'm like, what culture? Where are they from? He's like, hey, I don't know, but his face is so...
Yeah,
I
like with
can't say
disgust
it.
or...
I said, what language is this? He says, it's not even Venda. I said, it's Venda. Like,
Wow.
Even like
there's
that.
a rank.
like it's
There's
just,
a rank.
it's even worse than
Like
Venda.
when it's bad, it's Venda.
Yes, but now
But
it's
this
But
one,
now it's
now it's
below
something
the list.
so foreign that
Yeah.
I can't even relate to it. And then I pop my head and lean over to the other guy and I start speaking to him in Chichewa. And the guy's jaw drops.
He must have, the melanin must have left his body.
You could tell. Then he said, he starts off by going, shh, 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 like, don't repeat what I've said. But he can't hear what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I'm just greeting the guys, to be honest.
Yes.
I'm just greeting the guys.
But the panic, the fear,
the
that
panic
he
is there.
experienced.
And then eventually he says, now you're going to gossip about me. Like, because now he can't catch on to what is being
Yes.
said. And then the guy shoots a shot and says, no, my brother, you need to start traveling.
Wow.
Right?
But
But
punch.
both of these people are my people.
Yes.
Both of these
So
people
that's-
are my
it's an
people.
awkward
And I'm
division.
existing in between these
Yes.
people. It even makes me think of biracial people in South Africa. Being
Yeah.
half white, half black in South Africa should be very difficult.
Very,
if I feel like
very.
that with the whole xenophobic versus, how much more?
Or think of like Blasians living in an Asian country. You literally do not look like the rest of the population.
You don't look like the Asians or the blacks.
Yes, but you could have grown up there fluent, everything culturally so set, but physically you look so different. I can only imagine the struggle that must be where I'm so othered in a way that I can't even I can't control it. I look the way that I look. And now this is my culture, this is all I know. But I don't belong here. But if based on maybe people's the way people treat me, I don't belong here, but then I don't belong anywhere else.
Yes, because when I can't go to wherever, let's say if you're half American, half... In fact, when we were at Afro-Future the other day, there was a lady who was... I said to her, where are you from? Because, we're all meeting foreign people. Like, there was only foreign nationals
Exactly,
there.
because a lot of people
And then
came
she says,
down
I'm
for it.
Korean. But she looks colored to me.
Yes.
So then I'm like...
Exactly.
And I had to control everything in me and say, snap yourself to order, because this could be very problematic. If this person is saying I'm Korean, And then I said, okay, I understand that, but you sound American. That was the closest I could get to trying to understand.
And unpack it
because
more.
anything could be very offensive at that point.
Absolutely.
You don't look Korean.
Yes.
You look colored. What's a colored?
Now you're hitting a wound.
It's such a difficult thing to navigate, guys.
What's scary about South Africa is, there are many countries that are xenophobic, like many countries.
Yes.
America with the Muslims, even Asian people experience a lot of xenophobia there. And you often find that it is due to often a lack of, because there's a difference between being upset that there are people crossing your borders illegally and existing in your space, and then being upset that there are people from merely existing in your country.
Yes.
Yeah, from just coming into your country. Very, very different. And it's weird because I'm also just thinking right now, there's a video I was watching last night, very, very sad video of a girl in China who was talking about an experience of her being physically beat by a person at HR, right? At the school that they're working at. It really, really makes me think of, I don't know if there is a country that is so accepting of foreign nationals, because here's the scary part. You never know under what circumstances a person is in your country.
Yeah. Sure.
Your country might have actually needed them.
Oh yes.
Right?
Brought them here, needed them as a resource.
Like, this is a very big thing that a lot of us as South Africans are unaware of. There are so many skills that we lack. You find in Europe, they're having this problem where they are so middle class and upper that there are jobs that people from that country are just not willing to do. Take China, for example, that's struggling with their demographies looking terrible because of their one-child policy.
Yes.
They have too many old people. Now, when you have an economy like Africa is one of the... I mean, almost said planets. One of the
No, given. Not a planet.
right? Like we're one of the continents with the best demography on planet Earth because our youth is just
It's
abundant.
like healthily set, yeah.
Abundant, with obviously Nigeria being the best amongst the countries here. But like China is struggling with, they don't have a plan about how they're going to take care of their seniors.
Sure.
Right, so they need to bring in young foreign nationals, even though they need us to be there.
Yes.
Not just, I mean, I know that we commonly know that China brings us in for teaching English,
Yes.
but they need us to work there.
Like
they
a workforce.
They need a workforce.
Yes.
You understand? Because they can see the numbers, which guys, in 10 years.
Because it created a gap.
Yes, and
If we don't do something about
with the
this-
government trying to compensate for that, then you come and you beat as HR person, you go and you beat.
Exactly.
So, like, do you understand?
You're actually fueling a crisis that we're trying to avert.
Yes. Oh
Because
my
that's
gosh.
another thing
I love
about
what you're
the
saying.
Chinese government. They can, because of, well, them being a communist country, they're able to deal with problems that are 10 to 20. They can see that in 20 years, guys, even with
Yeah.
the one-child
Takes
policy, they
foresight,
could
yeah.
they saw that, you know what, it's funny because that was actually calculated by one guy who apparently forgot to factor in, I can't remember, I was watching a video essay about it.
Not human error affecting a whole economy and social system. And
Right. But here's another thing that scares me about South Africa is that even people that are educated and have proper qualifications, and perhaps maybe I'm sort of overestimating what it means to be educated, because it doesn't mean that you know the state of South Africa, what it needs and what it does not. It doesn't mean that that's something you're interested in. You just know this, and because of this, you just want to do away with everything that's foreign.
You're a civil engineer, you've got a master's in civil engineering,
Yeah.
and you know how to build bridges.
That's it.
That's all.
That's it, you know. And I know myself as well. Like, I was very guilty of the South African mindset, which is what you mentioned earlier. And I don't know to what extent, because I know there are a lot of us who do travel, and we've spoken about it before, that South Africans don't travel. And that can make you be you have a phobia towards being exposed to an other, right? Because an other, I mean, it's, but then again, which is why I was mentioning America and other countries as well, because I'm challenging my own thoughts as well. But Americans don't travel much also. But Americans do travel around whatever is accessible to them. And yet you see them doing this as well. You understand what I mean?
Okay. I hear what
You
you're
understand?
saying. They do travel.
So my point-
Why are they still like that?
Thank you.
I hear what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yes. I hear you. But for me, there's a superiority complex of it. With South Africans and Americans, once again, that is mimicked. I mentioned in this previous one with the apartheid that is mimicked. But in South Africa, we are the best African country.
Yes.
In America, we are the best country in the world.
Yes.
And there's something that comes with that. There's an arrogance that comes
an
with it that
ego-y,
makes you
yeah,
reject
yeah.
people from other,
Sure, I've never thought of it like that.
Right.
But I don't want to go on bashing the mindset.
It's not a bash, yeah.
Yes, because there are parts of me that do understand that, like an example would be that township economy is not protected in a formalized setting. Hence, somebody from Somalia can come in and overtake all the tuck shops that Mama Stole, Mama Mazibuko, and Mam Tembu used to own
But
and
how
feed their families
overtake
from.
how? Like when you say overtake,
So coming in with a stronger, maybe not currency, but coming in with stronger resources,
Okay.
and then being able to close down the other shops or the resources that.
Okay.
So now the 5 families can't feed from their little tuck shops
Yes.
because now there's one bigger tuck shop that's opened that everybody runs to. That's
So if someone else had to come in being local,
Yes.
and it was the same thing in terms of dominating
what's
that
the
market.
argument there?
What's the upset going to be about?
But this person that's come in, like Given had said, is then coming in as a foreign national who didn't come in legally, and you're feeling, why am I competing with somebody who isn't playing legally in the game?
Apart from that, also consider this discussion of, for example, with Somali people, they have Indian people as well. They have the advantage that when they gather resources, it's not just me. it's me, it's this guy, it's this guy. We're all going on the back of a van, going to places where we can negotiate lower margins, right?
Okay.
This one being something that we can also do as South Africans, but because of the way we're used to doing business, it's not something that we're often willing to do. So it's the thing that Tammy who mentioned how in other African countries, closing at 10, closing shops is not a thing.
Oh, that's in Ghana. Like you can go to you can end work, go to a pharmacy at 8, 9, 10 o'clock. You know, there's 24-hour pharmacies, 24-hour supermarkets.
Now imagine a South African competing with that company.
Or that culture.
But with the culture, so like someone in Ghana, that culture wouldn't exist here, or that way of working wouldn't exist here, because it's not what everyone else does.
In the townships, there are stores, I can tell you now, Indian stores close late.
Okay.
They close late when everybody else is closed. You know you can go to the Indian store and find it open.
So what stops someone from local staying open later?
Because it's not the culture.
Exactly.
But is it
Because rest is
get
valued, and now you're just feeling like, why should I overwork myself for somebody who's not here legally? Do you get the anger, you know? And don't get me wrong.
do.
I'm not saying it's justified, and I'm not saying, but I'm just saying there are things to look at. But for me, the biggest one is the protection of, because it's easy to say the higher class and middle class people don't think like that because they're educated when their industries are protected. And their money
now we're
is
going
protected.
down something very economical, which I can't speak to because I can't speak to an experience of that from a local perspective, but also being like a first generation perspective. I don't hold that capacity to give a full opinion on that.
That's just always been my thing with regarding like, oh, the educated ones are not xenophobic.
Yeah.
Are they not xenophobic, or is it that they're not affected? That's just my that's what I was boiling down to say which class of people are not being protected by illegal immigrants. But you know, like you're saying, not to give like none of us are economists here or things like that, so not to give it such a maybe
heavy focus,
just the experience of being a foreign national. That's actually what I wanted to get into. So I've shared one of my stories. I don't want to share your story, and I don't know if you're comfortable sharing your story.
Oh, I can do it with my chest.
Oh, I've
healed now.
Yeah, but I remember. Okay, you tell the story.
Yeah.
You tell the story.
So it was after a friend's show. We were going out. I don't know where we were going afterwards, and I had put Waze on, obviously to navigate to the place, but I had also forgotten my license just wasn't, it had expired, and I was in the process of getting it done through a third party, but I didn't have it yet. So legally or 100% in the wrong, you know, regardless of who's doing what. But I got pulled over and I said, accept your fate. You know your license disc, take that. Don't even try to fight back. And I was trying to explain the whole story and the whole circumstance, but this female officer was not having it, okay? Which, fine, I get it. But then it started to go down. It moved completely away from the license disc not being renewed to it being definitely a thing of nationality now, because now I had given over my driver's license. You've seen my surname's Ofori-Amanfo. Where is that from? And that just opened the floodgates, right? And then it got to, you know, where are you from? How long have you been here? Do you not know the law, the rules of this country and how you need to renew a license disc? And it just felt, I think there was a certain point where I realized this is no longer about my license disc. I can tell for a fact that I'm about to be profiled or something in some kind of way by this.
Been profiled.
Or profiled by this lady in some kind of way, or this officer. And it got to a point where I actually was just begging, I wanted her to give me a fine. Just give me a fine for my license disc so that I can carry on and be on, because the way that I'm feeling now, I'm feeling so othered based on my, yes, I'm South African, but my not being fully South African, I don't know how to explain it. Just, it made me a target.
Yes. And I remember even when you were explaining, when she said, where are you from? And then you said, I'm South African.
Yes.
And then she was like,
yes. Then it's kind of like, well, prove it, you know. And I've never.
And you're like, ma'am, I've given you my ID.
Yes.
I
I've
was
never
born
had
and
to
brought up here. Like, what
be
do
in a
you want from
position
me?
where I've had to prove
Yes.
what I just know that I am. I'm South African, but I'm also
Yes.
Ghanaian. I'm Ghanaian
Yes.
culturally,
Yes.
experience, all of those things,
Yeah, your
family-wise,
heritage, yes.
That's me through and through. Before, if you ask me what I am, I'll always say Ghanaian and then give you the explanation.
Yes.
But I've never felt othered from the land that I live in as I did in that moment. And it's something we're speaking about off air. It wasn't subtle where you're like, did she mean it like
and
that?
And you can gaslight yourself out of like,
you kind of protect yourself. Oh, as well, you're sensitive natured. It probably wasn't like that. But this is like, oh no, she is definitely. I'm having a xenophobic experience now, which is something my mother has always feared for me, and here I am having it.
And it's somebody who's an officer of the law. It's frightening.
Yes,
what happens?
I'm at your mercy. I'm at your mercy.
And what happens now?
Also, I can't bribe. I don't know how to do those things. I can't do it. So now you could take me in for whatever reason, and there was a fear of power being abused because it is a reality that happens. But power being abused, if I also now try and push back and protect myself from you coming at me because of my culture and my heritage and me being Ghanaian, I didn't want that. I just wanted to do the right thing and get out of there. But she wouldn't let me go. She wouldn't let me go.
And then, friend, I remember because we were in 2 cars and then we were meeting at the next place together.
Yes.
So she's taking long. And then she says, because I keep calling now, like, buzzing, and then she's like, I'm going to talk to you. I'm just with an officer. Just give me a second. But I could hear in your voice that, she arrived finally. It was the end of the night. I mean, we just met again after that and you were crying so much and then we had to like now.
It was horrible. I think what shook me the most, it's not that she was shouting at me or all of these things. It was just, whoa. Regardless of me being 28, 29 at the time, I know South Africa. I feel South African, but I'll never fully belong. But also going to Ghana, I'll never fully belong. Thinking about this year when there was an issue and I got stuck in Ghana, so I spent 3 months in as opposed to 10 days. And we
went together and she stayed behind.
We went together and I said goodbye to her. There was this whole long process of trying to get a South African visa just to come back home. And this whole process of having to prove that I am South African.
I remember they wanted your birth certificate and then they also wanted things from your parents.
They wanted so it was first proving myself. Cool. I've got all of the documentation for that. Then it was like, no, your birth certificate. So I sent a copy. They wanted my original birth certificate. I'm 30 at the time. That birth certificate was under my mom's mattress for who knows how long. So it's not of good quality. Also, I'm 30. Who needs your birth certificate?
Exactly.
I'd given that. Then it was, no, but how are you South African? Oh, I said my parents moved from Ghana to South Africa, but now they're citizens, they've been naturalized, and by birth, then I'm also South African. Send your parents' birth certificate. So I mean marriage certificate. So I send my parents' marriage certificate. Then it's how do we know that they got this the right way? When people go over there to South Africa, they do funny things. Yes. And I remember thinking at that point, there is literally nothing else I can give you.
Yes.
You have asked, I think, something way too much.
Yes.
I can't prove. Now I'm having to fight to prove that I'm South African so I can go back and work.
At some point you even had to show them that you had a bond here.
Yes.
Imagine.
I said,
guys, I am so South African.
I've got a car.
I've got a car.
I've got a car I'm paying off. I've got a bond.
There were so many barriers to entry.
Work
It was
history.
wild. It was like, here's my South African ID. So basically the story is that she misplaced her passport.
Yes.
But here's my South African ID. Let me go home. And they're like...
And I also just remember emailing everyone I could back here. And no one got back to me. And I thought... I'm not alone because I'm at home. I'm in Ghana, but my life is in South Africa.
Yeah.
That's also my home.
And even here being just
that's my home. That's my people. That's my rhythm. My friends are there. And even with my family being scattered, my friendships really do make up my community.
Yes,
my community is there, guys. I've missed out on so many things because I can't get back because you don't think I'm South African.
Yes, and at that time, South Africa is actually all you were born and
it's all I know. Put me in Ghana. Okay, cool for 10
days.
What's it? Dirty December. Shop.
Yes.
Then Wednesday we're back at work. How am I supposed to operate? How am I supposed to operate?
I remember, and that can be quite a traumatic experience when the country that is supposed to be of your belonging rejects you, or rejects you, inverted commas, or makes the barriers so difficult, and you're just like, Sure, am I going to live my whole life feeling like a secondary citizen of the place that I input into? I pay taxes there. Like, how much more should I
West
give
Bank
of
and
myself?
I are here. FNB Home Loans and I are here. So how guys come through for me, because every month you come for me
Do you understand?
and I oblige.
Do you
Yes.
understand?
So,
And also just that experience of sometimes going back home, you know, and I say home because I know that experience of like,
sure, that's
you
another
feel
thing.
Malawi and they're like, Achiwene Maswela. And they're like,
They can just tell.
because of that accent. And
So
they're just like,
othered.
don't do it. It's cute,
Yes.
but you're not a Malawian either.
Yes.
And then too foreign for here, too foreign for there, and never enough for both.
That
you
is
know?
something that has plagued me for so long. And I think it's only in me being like maturing, yes, maybe in age, but also in thought, and meeting other people who are like me. Like I've recently become very close to a group of friends who grew up in the Eastern Cape, but are Ghanaian, but can fully speak Xhosa. Yo, I nearly... I had to apply
We are only examining the clicks.
had to apply. But I somewhat not envy them, but I'm like, you could pass. I can't pass. I can't speak a South African language. I grew up in Mafeking. I think that people
assume that you can speak Tswana.
not even assume, they move themselves differently around us because their family's not from here. So English was spoken. I should fully know Tswana. It's weird.
Yes, okay, I hear what you're saying.
But then also growing up here, my parents didn't speak to me in our Ghanaian language tree. TWI, not TREE, please. Growing up.
Is it TWI?
TWI, tree.
This whole time I thought it was TRI.
It's not the boom outside.
Okay,
I beg. I beg.
Okay.
So all of those things. So they didn't speak Tree to me growing up. I've only learned in my later years, but I'm also not fluent in it. So going to Ghana, I can't laugh with my cousins the way that they do. Sitting here, I can't laugh with you and your family the way that you guys do, because I feel English without being English. And it's so frustrating.
Yes. Even the effect of like thinking thinking in this like language that is innately not yours. And that's the thing where you understand how it can be exhausting to be around in a circle of people where they can't get that the sense of humor that comes from just knowing the language, or the culture that comes with, just the
or
small
phrases are funnier, but when you translate it,
it's not the
English
same.
robs you
and
of
sometimes
its
it can be
meaning.
exhausting to always be hong. Sometimes you want to take it off and just but at which point does that now start to look like hate? Or disdain, or
do you mean like look like hate from whatever country where you don't feel like you?
At which point does it look like hate when
from
I'm annoyed that I have to speak English around Asbo? At which point does it look like, hey?
Oh, okay.
Like I'm at home, I want to do my at-home things. That's my language, the way I move, the things I know, the way I speak.
You get what I'm saying? At which point does that exhaustion to be like, this translation, does it actually just like you're actually being a hateful person?
Yeah.
And being unable to be accommodating.
It's
in
tricky because this time was like a weekend.
Yeah.
But if someone is, let's say you're married and the person you're married to is not of the same culture, and your family comes together and they naturally, especially the older generation, naturally go into whatever your home language is.
Yes.
Then you're always having to pepper there and say, oh, babe, this.
Yes. It's things like that. Can you imagine, like, how much more, what another layer it is? It's already difficult to fuse two families.
Yes.
Now, what layer is this where now when I say thank you, somebody's going to be laughing their eyeballs out, and like just... but the thing is, we're constantly being encouraged to be embracing global citizen, da-da-da-da-da. Is it real?
When I really started to feel, when I got old enough to realize being othered, or seeing, I don't want to bring my parents into it, but seeing experiences that they have had, where I thought, why would I try and fit into a place that doesn't even want us here? I had like an attitude about it, but in a way that only did me harm, honestly, because it closed me off to at least learning certain phrases and things and integrating into the country that I call home, one of the countries that I call home. But it made me think, if I'm not wanted, then I don't want anything of this world, of this area or environment as well. And I still get why I did it, but I regret it. And it was only in maturing that I'm like, okay, when someone's saying something in a language, okay, wait, teach me what does that mean, or picking up what certain words mean. I might not fluently understand the language now, but at least I'll be able to integrate a bit more, because that's what I want. I want to be able to integrate. I don't want to be othered.
I hear you. That was me with Afrikaans. I didn't understand with the apartheid background why I was still learning it. I was born in 1992. I'm a born free.
Yes, yeah.
Ew, I don't want to speak it, and I did very badly at it. And then later, as I grew and I saw how it can come in handy. At the right time, it can come in handy. Yes. And it was just something to learn.
Yes.
You know,
I really think that with regards to a lot of things, there's a point at which, unfortunately, we have to accept the game of whatever context. Thank you. The game of, I think we've spoken about it when we were talking about the context of geopolitics, right? That Africa, like for example with BRICS and the West and how much power they have, for the sake of moving ourselves from one plane to the next, we have to dance to the West's music, for example, right? I think it needs to obviously be done with a certain amount of balance, because I can relate to not wanting to lose yourself.
Yes.
You know, because like guys,
like code switching in a way,
any Congolese person listening to this will tell you, Congolese people are very proud of their culture, too proud, if I may, right?
Hey, are you gonna say that? Some people are gonna be like, what do you mean by too proud?
No. I mean, this is something you find in almost every context. Zulu people are very proud of their culture.
Wasn't
Xhosa people
in our comment section the other day? I wish she just spoke
Zulu. Exactly.
You're like, that's all you get.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Like you find this in many different contexts. It's normal in Africa for people to be proud of their culture and want you to assimilate and respect their culture. Not just respect, assimilate. We want you that when you're here, you must look like one of us. Basically, it's very, very normal. So the thing I'm getting at is, it's quite unfortunate, but it is wisdom, as you say, learning to assimilate as much as necessary and to keep who you are as much as possible.
Trevor Noah speaks of it in one of his books. He says he's about to get robbed. One of his books, in the book that he has, he's about to get robbed from the back, but they're speaking in Zulu, thinking they're probably some white or colored guy.
Won't understand.
And then like, let's grab him on the side, and then he like turns around and speaks in Zulu, says, "Hey man, let's hit the next guy. Can't you guys?" You know. And then he says immediately they're just like, sorry, we thought you were a foreign person. So there is an advantage to connecting with somebody. Nelson Mandela says if you speak to somebody in a language they understand, they will hear you. If you speak to somebody in a language something like basically their mother tongue, I can't remember how to say it. Then they will feel you or something. I can't remember how, but basically it's deeper. And it's true.
Yes.
You know, it's 100% true. Definitely, I think I breathe, not breathe, I think in English and whatever. But nothing lands like saying, Nahana fel, Joe, Batung.
Yes.
Nothing lands.
And that's why I have a bit of a envy or something for the friends that I've made that grew up in the Eastern Cape and can fully speak Xhosa. Because fine, physically they might look different, but they've got an extra door.
Yes, and it is an extra door. It's an extra door to be able to connect with somebody in their language.
That's very true.
It really is. Ooh, it really is.
Even if I hear someone speaking Tree, like we went out to a club. I'm not a club girl, but
I saw you.
The group had to allow. I had to, assimilate. I had to assimilate. So we went to this club, and some of the bouncers were speaking Tree, and I wanted to be like, hey. But the thing is, they're big, bad bouncers trying to do their job. But I wanted to be like, hey, And then I was like, but it comforted me, or it excited me to hear my language spoken, not from my immediate family.
I never miss an opportunity to speak Chichewa.
You're in.
So every petrol attendant, every person that helps at a store, did
your dad teach you?
My gran came to live with us for some time.
Okay, I was wondering how you learned.
I know you tried, but my grand did the
Yes.
bulk of the work.
Shame. My mom's also doing the Lord's work there, trying to teach me Tree.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, she does. I remember when I was with
Shame.
you guys.
She'll call
she's
me and she'll
really
speak to me
trying.
fluently in Tree,
Yes.
and I'll understand her. I don't know why over everyone else. There's certain times where I'm like, you've lost me, but I won't let you know because this call's gone on 2 hours.
Interesting addition. We're at a point where we're now making an effort to make sure that our daughter speaks both my partner's language and also understands South African languages and is like really immersed in the culture. And it's not like, not really immersed in the culture. I think as much as she possibly can be.
As much as you can provide in terms of resources and things.
Exactly,
The world's also
exactly.
changing, so who knows how it will be. But that's something I think about with my kids is, I mean, my womb's never been touched, but like if I think about wanting to have a child, I think, shucks, I'd want them to be around my parents so that they can learn some Tree, be around my extended family so they can learn some Tree. I would need to be able to go back to Ghana with a family so that they are exposed as much as I can expose them to my Ghanaian culture. And that's why sometimes I think about my partner. Ideally, hopefully my partner is Ghanaian, but who knows where the heart beats, you know, so I'd need to try and preserve
And maybe
that.
sometimes are we not limiting ourselves in that? In wanting a bit of familiarity and a bit of like a boost from where we come from. Because I've also had the desire to marry a Malawian so that I can boost this missing element of mine.
Exactly where you guys are at now. I'm actually wondering if we shouldn't do a follow-up episode of actually discussing what are the benefits of actually mixing with other cultures.
Yes, and the cons.
Yes, because I can definitely speak to a lot of benefits. I think I've come to being in the relationship that I'm in. I value the fact that we're multicultural so much that I feel like even if for some reason in another world, I would definitely go multicultural again.
I hear you. And that's why even when we were off air, I said I've gotten to the place now where it's more about being with somebody who's got a global citizen mindset. Than being with a Malawian.
I would say that also, but something the way the cultures don't clash too much. And I always think of it outside of myself and my partner, you know, maybe just in being close to my family, that culturally, I hope that there would be certain nuances or things like that is a commonality. But I know, you know, if I think about my family, they're accepting, they're open, they're all of these things. But in not growing up in Ghana or fully feeling Ghanaian because of the limitations or whatever I've had, that's what puts the desire in me to immerse myself as much as I can, because I feel like I haven't had that experience for myself. But once again, am I robbing my life experience and my future kiddies' life experience of being multicultural, a multicultural global citizen, you know, because I wanted this for myself.
I refer to that global citizen term quite a bit because I remember the first time I heard it when the global citizen concept was coming, I was amazed at the idea that you can belong to the globe.
Yes.
You know, just like even when we talk about dying and where will you be buried? If let's say like now I go and I move to France and I start living in France and then
you build your family there, your life there.
You know, and my kids are born there, they're brought up there, and that's what we know for like the latter half of my life. Like now I'm 30, let's say for the next 40 years, all the way to 70, 75. Will I still want to be buried in South Africa? Why? If I'm a global citizen and I really understand that. It's like saying I must be buried in the Val.
Okay, I can speak a bit to that, right? I remember when this concept of being a global citizen I was sold to it because I feel like because of where I grew up and what I was exposed to, traveling and being a global citizen wasn't a thing to me. The more I exposed myself to such conversations, the benefits of being a global citizen started just coming to light for me, right? The idea that I can have an education here and in another country. The idea of building a network in other countries where you can know someone who's an amazing accountant in Italy, know someone who's an amazing chef in a different country, someone who's amazing at this in a different country, and literally learn from those people and collaborate with them. Those ideas started opening up to me. But being a global citizen doesn't mean you have to disconnect yourself from things from sentimental value. You understand?
Yes.
So you can want to be buried in your country, the one that you call home, while also being a global citizen. The two can coexist. You can have your sentiments and saying, when I set foot on this continent,
it feels different.
or when I set foot in this country, it feels different.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Feels like home. Because the truth is, we cannot take away from what feels like home.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Genuinely, I can't explain it. Even when the discrepancy between when I'm spending time with somebody that speaks Zulu the whole time, and my Zulu is in the gutter. At the time, my mom is Zulu, but my Zulu is. You should see me and the lady that manages my house manager.
Yeah,
it's always like ngifuna iwashing inegwe kanjena and ngicela guti. You know,
that's
and
you.
I just wish so much I could be like, oh, sihleki kopa obe washini kamane, and it will see like I just wish I could roll. Like, can my tongue just?
Have you asked her if she can understand Sotho though?
No, she's actually Zimbabwean and Ndebele.
Okay, that's
so even Zulu for her is her being accommodating.
Her trying,
so
that's
we
her
need to
coming
kind of
halfway,
meet on Zulu.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but she's like the other time she spoke English, and I said, "Ma'am, you didn't just put me through all of that." Huh?
Really, I've been fighting.
Then she's like, I enjoyed
that's just
it.
Good
like
comedy right there.
Yeah, she was just like, I enjoyed it. I said, she should do her thing.
That is beautiful.
That time you're fighting for your life.
My tongue is in a knot.
And beads of sweat, just trying to
get a sentence across. Anyway, so definitely it's a conversation that needs an extension because we can, break off into so many other segments without a doubt. This is something that is so dear to my heart.
Same.
It's a topic that is so, so dear to my heart because really...
it's personal.
Yeah, it's personal, and it's so multi-layered. So sometimes that's the part where maybe you're being a bit too sensitive. Maybe think more globally,
I want to know, definitely thinking globally, but 100%... my experiences have been my experiences, just like racial experiences have been racial experiences. And I don't want it to go forward, but it's very interesting being in our generation and still having flicks coming of that and experiencing, oh, that was a xenophobic experience. Hectic. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, no. And I think it's very clear cut with you, but with me, it's always like don't do that thing, that Malawian thing.
Yeah.
That's the more the xenophobia that I've experienced. Like, you need to abandon that side of yourself, girl, because now is not the time for that.
Put on this Ursula.
Yes, put on South African Ursula.
The one who makes me comfortable.
Yeah, and then it's just like, and the thing is, I can't fully put on Malawian Ursula because I don't know it that well.
You don't fully have that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not that person. My shewa doesn't roll off my tongue. I have to think out my sentences and things like that. And so then it becomes easy to just then, okay. But it's like, no, that's you're being xenophobic to a whole half of me. Even when the xenophobic attacks happen, guys, my heart is torn because that could easily be
my people are attacking my people. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yes.
Or my people are against my people.
Yes.
And vice versa.
And it feels very like, you're torn. It's just like,
Yeah.
That was today's episode of The Conversation Capital. Can I round off? Is there anything else you guys want to close off on?
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
That's right.
There we go.
For now, though, goodbye and God bless.